Hannah sat in the middle of the small Filipino living room, her eyes moving from one person to another as she tried to keep up with everything happening around her. The room was bright, filled with sunlight coming through the open windows, and the warm air made the curtains sway slowly. The smell of garlic and onions cooking drifted from the kitchen, where the mother was stirring a pot with quick, practiced movements. The youngest child, Mira, kept running back and forth, laughing loudly as she peeked at Hannah and then hid behind a chair. She had planned for a calm cultural experience, maybe some quiet conversation, maybe a peaceful meal. But this was something else entirely. A neighbor walked into the house without knocking, carrying a basket of fruits, smiling wide as she greeted everyone. She handed Hannah a mango with both hands as if presenting a treasure. More children gathered outside the window, whispering to each other and trying to get a better look at the Korean visitor. Hannah sat frozen in her bamboo chair, overwhelmed but strangely happy. The father, a cheerful man with tanned skin and a big smile, wiped sweat from his forehead and looked at her with excitement. He said, "You hungry? Eat, eat, eat," while pushing a plate of freshly cooked lumpia toward her. The plate was warm, the food smelled delicious, and Hannah could feel her stomach growling, but she was too shy to take one at first. Myra solved the problem by grabbing a lumpia, placing it directly in Hannah's hand, and nodding as if giving permission. Hannah laughed and took a bite. The crunch surprised her. It was flavorful, a perfect mix of savory and sweet, and the family waited for her reaction as if she was a celebrity judge. When she gave a thumbs up, everyone cheered loudly. The mother smiled proudly and returned to her cooking, adding more garlic into the pan. The sound of sizzling filled the room, and Hannah watched the steam rise like a soft cloud. She thought about her home in Korea: quiet meals, organized kitchens, polite conversations. Here, everything felt alive. Every movement had energy. Every sound carried emotion. She didn't know how to describe it, but it felt warm. Warm in a way she had never experienced before. She tried to open her water bottle, but the father quickly reached for a pitcher of cold juice and poured a glass for her instead. He placed it on the table gently, as if serving someone important. Hannah didn't feel like she deserved that kind of treatment, but she appreciated how sincere it felt. When she finally stood up to look around, Myra grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the kitchen. The mother lifted the lid of the pot, releasing a wave of steam. Inside was chicken adobo, simmering in a dark sauce. The smell made Hannah close her eyes for a moment. She watched as the mother stirred the pot with care, adding a few peppercorns and more garlic. The kitchen was simple, but full of life-bright colored plates hanging on the wall, a small calendar with handwritten notes, and a radio playing upbeat music in the background. Suddenly, the electricity shut off. The radio stopped, the fan paused, and the house became silent for a moment. Hannah looked around, unsure if something was wrong, but nobody panicked. In fact, everyone reacted like it was normal. The mother shrugged, the father laughed, and the children cheered as if it was part of the fun. The father opened the windows wider to let the air in, and the sunlight filled the house even more. They invited Hannah outside. They laid a woven mat under the mango tree and sat together. The wind was gentle, the leaves rustled softly, and a rooster crowed in the distance. The father brought out a wooden board with small holes carved in it. He poured little shells into the holes and taught Hannah how to play sanka. She watched closely, trying to understand the rules, and soon she was moving pieces across the board, laughing whenever she made a mistake. The children gathered behind her, cheering every time she made a good move. The mother came out carrying plates of fresh mangoes, sliced beautifully. The father laughed proudly, saying, "Philippines mango, the best." As the afternoon continued, more neighbors joined them. Someone brought coconut juice. Someone else offered banana Q. Every time Hannah tried something new, the whole group reacted like it was the most exciting moment of the day. She felt like she was at a festival, even though it was just an ordinary afternoon for them. Later, the family decided to take her around the neighborhood. Children played with makeshift toys, dogs slept under shade, and elderly women sat outside weaving baskets or chatting with each other. Everywhere Hannah went, she heard greetings. Hello, welcome, Kimosta. People smiled at her as if they had known her for years. She felt strangely comfortable. At one point, they stopped by a small stall selling Filipino street snacks. The vendor gave her a piece of banana Q on a stick, caramelized to a shiny brown color. When she bit into it, she felt a burst of sweetness. Paolo, the older brother, laughed and said he could eat 10 in one sitting. Hannah believed him. As the sun began to set, the family brought her to a small hill behind the village. They walked slowly, stepping over rocks and grass until they reached the top. The sky was changing colors, orange, pink, and purple, blending like paint on a canvas. Hannah felt the breeze on her face as she looked at the wide view of the village below. She had seen sunsets before, but something about this one felt different. Maybe it was the company. Maybe it was the simple beauty. Maybe it was the feeling of peace that had settled inside her. Back at the house, the mother prepared a simple dinner. The lights flickered back on, but the family kept most of them off, choosing instead to eat by the soft glow of a small lamp. The meal was modest fried fish, vegetables, and rice, but the flavor was rich, and the atmosphere was filled with laughter. The family talked about dreams and hopes. Paula said he wanted to become an engineer. Myra said she wanted to be a teacher. The father dreamed of fixing the house little by little, and the mother wished for her children to stay kind and strong. They asked Hannah about her dreams. She hesitated. She had always been focused on studying, working hard, meeting expectations, chasing achievements. But when she listened to the family's hopes, she realized something. Their dreams were simple but full of heart. They dreamed with love. She felt her throat tighten as she spoke. She told them she wanted to travel, learn languages, and find a purpose that made her happy. The mother held her hand and nodded softly, as if understanding her deeper than words could express. After dinner, the family invited her to play traditional games outside. They played tumbang preso, laughing every time someone missed. They played Pico, and Mira beat everyone easily. Even the neighbors joined in. The entire street felt like one big family gathering. Later that night, they all sat inside the living room watching a TV show together. They shared blankets. They shared snacks. They shared warmth. Hannah sat between the children, feeling a sense of belonging that surprised her. Before sleeping, the mother handed her a small bracelet made of woven threads. It looked simple, but handmade with love. The mother said it was for memory. Hannah tried to refuse politely, but the mother insisted, placing it gently on her wrist. She listened to the crickets, the distant laughter from outside, the soft breathing of the little girl beside her. The house wasn't fancy or quiet like the places she had stayed before, but it had something she had never felt so strongly: warmth, safety, and love. Morning came softly. The smell of hot chocolate and warm pandezel filled the air. Hannah got up and joined the family outside. They ate together while the sunlight lit up the yard. The children prepared for school, fixing their uniforms and packing small bags. The father got ready for work, checking his tricycle parked outside. Hannah felt the heaviness in her chest as she realized her 24 hours were almost over. She didn't want to leave. When the van arrived to pick her up, the entire family walked her to the gate. Myra hugged her tightly. Paula thanked her for spending time with them. The mother wiped her eyes discreetly. The father gave her a warm handshake and a gentle pat on the back. As the van drove away, Hannah turned to look at the family one last time. They waved at her with genuine smiles, the kind of smiles that stay in your heart long after you leave. Tears fell from her eyes, surprising her. She didn't expect to be emotional, but the experience had touched her deeply. She thought about everything she witnessed in those 24 hours, the chaos, the kindness, the laughter, the generosity, the simplicity, the love. She realized something important. She came to learn about Filipino culture, but she left with something more. She left with a new understanding of family, of connection, of joy. She left with a new version of herself, and she knew without any doubt that she would return.